Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Revolutionary Icons Summit Week. I'm Marsha Gupton King, and this is my masterclass. In my chapter, I talked a lot about power codes and portals being the behaviors that we demonstrate to take us from one level to the next, one place to the next, getting us out of those liminal spaces and putting us into the version of ourselves that we most desire to become. So in today's masterclass, I have something very practical to offer you. And I labeled this masterclass Starve the Distraction and Feed the Discipline, so that you can create divine devotion to the life you say that you want. Many of us, myself included, walk around for many, many years saying that we want this or we want that, but then we operate in cognitive dissonance and that we say one thing, but we behave in a different way. And that's very frustrating for all of us. A lot of it has to do with the fact that our nervous system isn't quite yet ready to hold that version of ourselves that we so desire. But what I can tell you from experience is that there are so many things in my past lives, my past selves, my past versions of Marsha, where I saw certain things happening and I knew that I wanted them. And I didn't quite know how to get from point A to point B. But I can tell you, when you have a vision and you have a calling on your life, it's going to show up for you no matter what you do. So don't beat yourself up. But the idea behind my masterclass is I just want to give you some practical tips to help get you from point A to point B and maybe close the loop on that time gap just a little more. For instance, I saw myself years ago. We're talking 2009. I had a vision. I was sitting in my office, in my home office, and I thought, I want to write books. And I could see my books, the spines of my books that I had written on my bookshelf. And I thought to myself, it doesn't have to be so hard. Why can't I just get together with a group of ladies and each one of us take a chapter or two, and then we could easily publish books together? So that was a thought that I had. I projected it into the universe. And it wasn't until 2020, 2021 that the opportunity, just like what I had thought, came to me. I didn't pursue it. It came to me. So just understand that the calling that's on your life is going to come to you, but we can do things to help shorten that time frame. So I promise it doesn't have to take from 2007 to 2020 for your dream life to come true and for those things to manifest. So let's dive into it so we can create this divine devotion and help you get to that life that you said that you wanted. So discipline while life is happening becomes devotion. Devotion is my word of the year for 2026. I choose a word every year because it just helps me stay on track to the things that I say that I desire, right? So in a personal note, this week, my grandson was very sick to the point where he was life flighted to a pediatric hospital. Obviously, this was out of the blue. No one understood what was happening. And my nervous system obviously wanted to spiral into fear, thinking the worst, what's going to happen. But instead of feeding that panic, I chose to feed the steadiness. I continued to go to the gym. I continued my clean eating. I got as much rest as I could. Obviously, there were a few sleepless nights. And I supported my family the best way that I knew how. And for me, that's what discipline looked like this week. It wasn't perfect, but it was me choosing what strengthened me while life was happening. And what I'm learning is that when I'm more disciplined, it becomes a true devotion because I choose the things that keep me strong. So I'm sure that you have a dream, right? Dreams are not the issue. Most people don't like dreams. They leak energy quietly all day long, and most of us are unaware about where and how that's happening. And the distractions that show up are not laziness. Usually it's an emotional escape. We feel overstimulated. We're feeling fear or anxiety. We're avoiding things because we don't have all the information we feel we need to accomplish tasks. Or honestly, we just lack clarity. And sometimes we lack clarity because we're actually afraid to admit what we truly want in our life. But I'm here to tell you today that discipline is not punishment. It's actually the devotion to the life that you said that you wanted. And it's a way of keeping your own promises to yourself. So what is distraction versus discipline? We feel like we know what that is, right? But then somehow we still find ourselves in states of distraction here and there. So a distraction is going to be anything that pulls energy away from your next aligned action. So it might look harmless, right? Getting up and instead of hitting, your morning walk or the gym, you sit and scroll for an hour. Or maybe you have to buy a sofa and you find yourself researching for 2 months. Maybe you're checking messages instead of responding to a potential client. Maybe you keep reworking the plan versus submitting it, the proposal. Or maybe you're just waiting to be in the right mood for things. But discipline, it's the practice of repeatedly returning to what matters most. It's not about being rigid. It is about making fewer negotiations with the version of yourself that wants to stay comfortable. So instead of staying in the bed for the hour, you get up and take a 30-minute walk at least. And it's just that constant win against the version of yourself that wants to be comfortable. And discipline is not necessarily intense. It's just showing up every day. It's just re-entering that state or phase or activity that you told yourself you would re-enter. So where do these distractions come from? How do we keep this energy? How does it keep leaking out of our aura? Usually, I found for myself personally, it's emotional discomfort. I don't want to feel this, so I reach for something else. Or very much a lack of clarity. I do not know what the next step is, so I just wander off and do something else that feels fun for the moment. Maybe I'm overstimulated. My nervous system is overloaded, so everything feels equally urgent. Or a fear of expansion. We all say we want bigger, more, greater, but do we? Because if we actually do the thing we say we want, then your life may change, and life is kind of comfortable right now, right? So before you judge your distractions, ask, what is it protecting you from feeling? And the answers might surprise you. So here are a few practical methods. First, let's starve the leak. How do we do that? Well, first we have to know what the leak is. Let's spot the leak. Name the distraction. I keep checking my phone instead of writing, okay? Tell the truth. Ask, what am I avoiding? What am I avoiding feeling? Or what am I fearing right now? Adjust the environment. Remove the friction. Take the phone away. Close the tabs. Clear your desk. Set a timer. Replace the behavior. Don't just remove the distraction, but give your body a new action. So instead of getting up and putting on an outfit to go to work in, maybe put on your workout clothes for the first 2 hours of your day so that you can squeeze in that 30-minute walk. Verify the next step. Make the next action tiny but visible. It doesn't have to be something grand. It could be something as simple as switching tea out for coffee that morning if you're trying to give up caffeine. And then enter that space for just 10 minutes. Don't promise to do 3 hours. Just 10 minutes of reentry. Open the project you were working on and look at it for 10 or 15 minutes and give yourself space to do 1 or 2 edits. It doesn't have to be a grand sweeping motion. Something very small usually triggers us enough to get started again. And then let's feed the life. So we starve the distraction. Now let's feed the life. Let's focus on one outcome. Choose one thing that would move life forward today. Do you need to mail the package you said you needed to mail? Do you need to research one item you needed to purchase? Do you need to call someone you said you wanted to call? Just do the one thing. And then energize the body. Walk, stretch, breathe, hydrate, or reset the room. That's a personal favorite of mine. Shift that energy. Execute the smallest step. Send one message, open the document, put on the shoes. It doesn't have to be something massive, just something very small that keeps you moving forward. And then document the win. I just got my mid-year moleskin journal. If you know me, you know I love my moleskins. So write it down so you can go back and remind yourself of all the wins. And your brain will also learn from that you are a person that returns. You are someone that keeps showing up. So try to remember to starve the leaks and feed the life. How do we go from distraction to discipline? So this is an example activity, and then in 2 minutes, we're going to do it together. So remember, we need to name it. Name one thing that you've been avoiding. Oh, I keep avoiding following up with that client. Okay, now we know what we're dealing with. Name the distraction you use instead. Oh, I check Instagram, I clear random things, or I keep researching instead of calling that client. All right, now we see some patterns of behavior. Name what you may be avoiding emotionally. Oh, I'm afraid they're going to say no. Or I feel overwhelmed because if they say yes, I don't know where to begin, right? I'm sure we've all been there. Choose the smallest discipline action. Write one follow-up message or set a 10-minute timer just to do the one thing. And then when it's done, put it away and take a breath like you did the thing. Create a replacement ritual. When I want to X, I will Y. Sorry, guys. All right. Well, we're going to go on. So now it's your turn. Ready? So you can take out a piece of paper. You can put it in your notes app. You can type it into a Word document, whatever. Take a screenshot if you like and come back to it later if you don't have time right this second. So it's a little 5-minute activity. You can do this every morning instead of doom scrolling, right? Keep your journal beside your bed, wake up in the morning, and go right here and fill in these blanks. The thing I keep avoiding is X. The distraction I feed instead is Y. The feeling I may be avoiding is Z, right? Now, think about the smallest next action that's 10 minutes or less. Do that thing. And then your replacement rule is when I want to X, I will Y for 10 minutes instead. When I want to scroll, I will open my study guides for 10 minutes instead, right? And then your power sentence, you can use this anytime you need to. I am feeding X because I'm becoming Y. So I am feeding my gym routine because I am becoming stronger with it. So guys, really simple activity for you today to help you celebrate this week during our book summit and really take in all the energy from all these amazing authors that came together to put together revolutionary icons. And our goal here in closing is just to remember these power code integrations. Return today, return tomorrow. Starve one distraction for the next 24 hours and feed one discipline for the next 24 hours. Discipline grows through repetition, not shame. You have nothing to be ashamed of. Every return is in devotion to your future self. And remember, you don't need to become a different person overnight. Just begin to stop feeding the habits that were keeping your future hungry. Starve the distraction, feed the discipline, and return to this devotion daily until the life you wanted starts recognizing you back. Much love. Enjoy the the rest of the summit.